Well, paradoxically, I won't talk about investments. I believe this is quite a wide-ranging issue. Everybody has been talking about investment. The World Trade Organization talked about the negative trend, or everybody's been referring to the stagnation the world is in. But I like to draw a parallel. We're here in Verona now. We're talking about global issues affecting Europe, while at the same time in Brussels, the Council of Europe is talking about the transatlantic alliance that had been put forward by the US is to overcome the crisis at world level, affecting trade, of course. While I'm waiting for my slide, I'd like to add on my considerations. Now, you see that 2007, 2009, certainly very importantly on the international trade, and the change that it brought about was quite rapid. Between 2012 and 2013, the world economy grew by some 40%. And industry was growing while we are now in a situation of stagnation in the oil sector, in the manufacturing sector. There has been excess overproduction. If we look, for example, at the products of Caterpillar, which is a well-known company, of course, well, it is an important group in the manufacturing industry, and well, Caterpillar has witnessed a drop in its sale. So over the past few years, basically, they've seen a consistent decline. They've never had any sign of growth. That obviously reduces resources, so there's a downtrend in oil production, and that has a negative repercussion on marine transport, sea transportation. We see that important shipping company go bankrupt. So in the industry of logistics, this obviously creates a lot of problem. Now, if we look at the situation globally, you can easily see that the drop, the stagnation is pretty much wide-ranging. Based on the IMF data, we see that growth is much lower than experienced before 2007, 2009. Indeed, most of this drop, most of this decline is connected to sanctions and to all the other factors that create an imbalance in the economy, curbing growth. Out of the industrialized countries, only the US overcame the crisis, and yet that is very unstable and very weak. I mean, if you look at the price of oil per barrel, 50-60, is just but an injection, minor importance. If we had been told that such a minor fluctuation would have negative repercussion, nobody would have ever believed in that. Here you see three main groups, BRICS and Eurasia, with 3 out of the 5 countries making up BRICS, and then the G20, which is a larger institution, obviously, vis-a-vis the G7, and the Eurasian Economic Association. You see that over the past few years, all developed markets and developing markets come to clash with a loss of capital. Capitals actually are the only way to set a new balance in the payment, in the balance of payment. In 2007, 2008, this has been remarked pretty often. Now, with reference to the balance of the economic, of the trade balance, You see that G20 should be considered combined with G7, and you see that the positive balance is greatly reduced. This chart shows us that all experts are used by the developing countries' economy, where developing economies negotiating with them as soon as instability is witnessed in the industrialized world. Well, this has negative repercussions also on the industrializing countries. So if you have to find a recipe, if you have to understand what you can and what you can't do, to change the situation, to build based on new principles, to resume these world partnerships following the example of Russia. I'd like to prove that Russia invests heavily in establishing regional partnerships. And this, I believe, is a very good idea. More developing countries negotiate amongst themselves, or the more goods will travel not from China to Europe, but from China to Russia, and that will obviously strengthen the economies of those countries. Trade will grow in the developing countries as well, and that will generally bring positive results.